Tamika Hill. For those who don't know, I'm a master social worker, licensed clinical social worker, therapist. I own my own practice, Step by Step, the spa for your mind. The reason I named it that, because in life we need to take things step by step. And oftentimes we get spa and we think of relaxing our body, but what about the mind? So that's where the name came from. We're in Evergreen Park and Park Forest, and we also do virtual. Enough of that said now. So everybody came in here today because you wanted to know why you matter, and I'm going to give you some coping skills, and we're going to talk about some things that we all deal with, boundaries, the past. So without further ado, I know I'm supposed to be the expert because that's what life has taught us. These titles have said, oh, we're educators. You're the expert. But actually, you guys are the expert of you. I'm the GPS. I'm going to help navigate you through chaos, chaotic things, because at the end of the day, you know you better than anybody on this planet, correct? So can't nobody tell you about you. But the GPS system can help navigate. So what I want you to do, guys, is take out those index cards, write down things you may struggle with. They are private, so they don't matter to the public. We're not going to talk about them out loud. You can put things like anger, disappointment, regret, anything you feel like, even a person or a place that you struggle with. And I want to thank everybody. First, let me thank God for giving me this opportunity. Secondly, thank you for allowing me to even speak to you, because it does matter. You don't have to allow me to speak to you. You could have chose any place to be but here. So I appreciate that. And thirdly, let me thank my support system, because it's strong. We might be small, but we real. Amen. And I appreciate each and every last one of you. And then appreciate everybody that's here. All right? Everybody got something written down? Okay, so let's start. So if I can read one word, fear, right? So some of us walking around with fear. Some of us are walking around with regret. Some of us are walking around with unforgiveness. Some of us have been assaulted, molested, abused, sexually, physically, mentally, growing up, or even right now, right? The problem is, what about our root problems too? What about when we're children? We pick up some of this stuff as children. So that's our root problem. But then on top of your root problem, now you done collected everybody else's stuff. And you don't got no boundaries. You don't put yourself all the way to the back, like you don't matter. And then we get upset with people because they are doing them, so to speak, and we're not doing us. And we like, well, let's say about our kids, how kids, you can buy stuff for kids, and we be like, oh, they so ungrateful. And you don't spend your last earned dollars to go buy an iPhone for the kid. Well, who told you to do it? We get mad at stuff we ain't even supposed to be doing, because we allow people to put their stuff on us. And I do mean kids and parents and everybody else too. Even though if you're married, no matter if you are single, no matter if your parents are elderly, we all supposed to have some boundaries with everything. Even if you have a sickly parent, or like my grandmother's 86, she is in remission of cancer, but I still even have boundaries with her. There are some things I have to teach her. You are self-sufficient. There are some things you can do for yourself. So my point to all of this is, so as we look, right, look how much stuff I done picked up. Right? You done picked up a lot of stuff, and you mad. And I wish I had, I could steal this right here. I'm a very illustrative person, sorry. So we're going to pretend this is my childhood problem. So on top of my childhood problem, now we don't think that root problems matter. But all those who can see, do you notice how I'm walking? Mm-hmm. Right? So we think like, oh, I'm good, I'm okay. But you're walking different because you got too much stuff on you. So let's do, look, the Lord telling me let some of it go already. So talk about forgiveness, right? Disappointment, bad decisions, right? So let's talk about that. How do we start working with that? How do we start? And I'm not a person who believes in let things go, because at the end of the day, it's not that easy. How many people say, let it go, get over it? How many people have heard that? How many people have actually accomplished it? Okay, enough said. It's some things you can when it's like, okay, it's not worth the fight, but guess where it go? Your subconscious. The measuring stick, that's what I forget. I didn't bring it, but come on, I'm gonna use your height. So, I told you I'm illustrative. So, let's talk about measuring sticks, right? So, you see how tall he is, right? So all this stuff, right, it's in our subconscious and it's being measured. If you think about your subconscious, somebody said, screw you. That hurt your feelings. You let that go, that's down there. Somebody else come in your world, forget you. That hurts your feelings. Somebody else said you ugly, that go on your measuring stick. Let it, it's in my subconscious. I don't care what nobody say. This is your subconscious. You see how tall it got? That's a lot of stuff in your subconscious, and you measuring it slowly. And then you wonder why you snap all of a sudden over the littlest thing. And they like, well, why you so mad? Because you arguing about something that's on a measuring stick that ain't got nothing to do with what you arguing about with that person. Unfortunately, we don't believe that. You want to be so angry with the person instead of dealing with you because you matter. We want to make other people believe that we matter when we don't treat ourselves like we matter. How many people in this room actually put themselves first? I don't care if you got kids, parents, how many people actually think it's selfish to put yourself first? Wow. That's the truth about us. Because the society has taught us to pick you first is selfish. Even in a spiritual way, to be honest, because it's better to give than receive. But how can you give anything if you can't even give it to yourself first? How can you love if you can't love you? So think about that. Think about unforgiveness. Think about all these things that you're carrying around. How are you really teaching people you matter? You have to figure out what drives you to want to do so much for others. You get something. We don't think we get nothing. I always, and my clients will tell you, if they could tell you, that you know how we always say, oh, I'm just good-hearted, or I'm a good person. I'm doing this because I'm nice. Ain't none of us that damn nice. None of us. Just let's be real. We may do kind gestures, but we get something from it. Absolutely. That's exactly. Sometimes we overcompensate because we're trying to fill a void. So the root, again, they go back to your root. You need to figure out, why do I need to do so much? And if I don't, why do I feel so guilty that I don't? And most of the time that's a struggle, but it's because it's something rooted, to be honest. Most of the time, like you said, we're doing it because we need to be needed or we need to be validated. A lot of people don't like that word validation, especially women. We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't need validation. Everybody needs validation. But what we have to learn how to do is give some things to ourselves first, so we don't expect something from somebody else who ain't capable of giving it. That we pick people, honestly, off our own voids. People wonder why they get into situations. Like me, I attract certain people, and I know specifically why. You know, I'm a business-minded person, so I attract business-minded people. But I know the part in that is because I love to see people do business. So that's something, a need that I got to figure out. Why am I so rooted in that? Why am I so invested in everybody else's business? You know, not to a default of my own, I will say that. I have some balance with it. And I'm not saying that you need to be this ice cold person that you just say no to everything, because that's what happens. We go to extremes with people. We either the real yes person or no, I ain't doing nothing for nobody because don't nobody care about me. No, balance. It's learning to balance in the middle, right? But let's get back to some of these things, right? Our kids, we feel unappreciated by our kids. Let me ask you something. How am I supposed to, as a kid, or even as an adult, 21-year-old adult, supposed to appreciate what you never taught me to? I never earned it. You buy me an iPhone, you buy me an iPad, you pay all my bills. Please tell me, where was I supposed to appreciate it at? And that's just real talk. Even your siblings. I have people who come in and be like, my sibling don't do this and this. Well, have you talked to your sibling? Have you had a conversation with them? Why do you feel the need to overcompensate for your sibling? Why do you need to be the big brother or the big sister? Most people will say I'm a hard person because my siblings, I have strong boundaries with them. But it's because you got to grow up. If I die tomorrow, what's going to happen? The worst thing you could teach somebody is how to not live without you. They need to know how to live without you, because that's the truth. We all here to stay for a certain amount of time, then we're trying to leave. All of us. We got a checkout date. It's just that. So, going back to, okay, I ain't going to read that one. That's a little personal. Anxiety and pride. I love those, right? How do we work through some of those? Most people want to smoke weed, drink. Not that I got nothing against smoking weed. Hey, do that. But if you overcompensate and every time you got anxiety and you want to go pop a pill or pop some weed or whatever, or go sex yourself away or shop yourself away, whatever your coping skill may be, then you know you have an issue. You should not use that as a coping skill. If you use it as enjoyment, that's a balance. But if you run into it for a coping skill, that's a problem. So how do we start working through that? We start putting some, who did I pick it up from first? Who around you that got that energy? Have you ever walked into a room, or somebody walks into a room, vice versa, and you like, man, they energy off, and they change your whole mood? How many people experienced that before? So who in control of your mood? No, you in control of your mood. You in control of you. So how you letting somebody else move your energy? You should be the most powerful piece when you walk in any place. You should never dummy yourself down. There's a quote I always use. I don't match energy, I master it. The reason being is because why should I allow you to move me out my space and my mind? Who is you? Nobody. You ain't God. You ain't whatever you want to worship. You ain't that. So how do we allow people to do that to us? And we say we love ourselves. That's not love. That's allowing people to dump their garbage in you, right? The next one, say you have a friend who you always want to help. Do anybody in here have friends who have problems and you always find yourself being the solution or the comfort or the Mr. Fix-It or Mrs. Fix-It? They call you with a problem and you want to be the counselor, you want to be the bank, you want to be the loan, or whatever. Why? Anybody here want to share why? Nobody want to share why they do it? Do y'all got friends, right? Y'all don't want to tell y'all friends, no, that's why y'all don't want to share. I'm not one of them friends. Anyway.
I just go, I have a lot of friends and they come to me with their problems because I wasn't given that, when I would try to go to my mom, say my mom, with my problems, she didn't really take it seriously. So that's why I really take my friends seriously when they talk about mental health and depression and stuff, because I had that. It's really hard, to deal with that, especially when you don't have the people, like a mother figure, that takes you seriously. So you see your friends going through that, you really want to help them because you weren't shown that help, you weren't given that help.
That's true.
So that's why I really hope, I help my friends when they have problems and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that, right? That was very personal, and I appreciate that. I'm a challenger, so I'm going to be honest. I'm a challenger. So my first thing to you is how to give yourself what your mama didn't give you. My second question is how you know somebody gave it to your mama. Guess what's your mother's name? Tabitha was Tabitha before she was your mother. Tabitha, truth be told, is Tabitha. It's just coincidence that she's your mother, but she's still Tabitha. Guess what comes with expectations? Titles. Titles come with expectations, right? So when you think of mother, let's think of some words. I'm not picking on him, just use as an example. When we say mother, what do we think about? What comes to our mind? Right. Guess what? Obligated. Oh! Now you can tell that's that one of them spoiled kids I'm talking about right now. Well, that's true. But does that really make that person those qualities? Sometimes we never step back because we think of these titles and we measure that measuring stick I said we have invisible. We turn around and we measure them to this measuring stick we created. They ain't create none of this. They flat out, my mother, she's deceased, but I will use this about her. My mother wasn't an affectionate person. And she showed her love through gift giving. And it was a struggle, and still is for me to a degree, to say I love you or to show emotions. I know that comes from my mother. And so when I was younger, I did seek that out. But what I had to realize, my mother's mother didn't do it for her. So how can I expect her to give me something she has no point of reference to give? And that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, but that's just the reality of where we at. And that's another way to take some of this stuff off. Stop giving people false expectations they are not even capable of giving you. We sit here, we put people on this platter or pedestal, whatever you want to call it, and we're like, oh, that's my friend, they should do X, Y, and Z. No, you need a bucket of friends in different categories. Everybody can't be your all, and they ain't supposed to be. If the world got different alphabets, different numbers, why we can't have different friends?
Everybody serve a need. Everybody serve
That's right. We all serve some kind of need to people, but we want everybody to be the one. Even your spouse ain't all the one, and you cannot even put that weight on them because they can't give you everything. That's just the truth. We expect a lot out of people that can't give us things, that we're sitting there like, well, they don't do this. They can't. And we mad at them. That's common sense. Now, who in here has said that saying, common sense ain't common? But how many people really expect it from people? Me and my friend Desiree always got that. She used this word, I hate it, but it's okay. Clown behavior, as she calls it. She gets real upset and calls things clown behavior. But for real, like, to us it's clown behavior, but to somebody who, that's their only point of reference, that's it. I remember, and I'll use this as an example, I use the word ghetto, so please don't be offended when I say this in the room. It just was a personal thing that God had to deal with me with. I was working at the hospital at the time. I hate bondage and I hate those furry slippers or whatever they be wearing. And the pajamas. For me, it is a stereotype. So I looked at it. A young lady came in, her tube top and little flip-flops, whatever, and a bondage. I said, oh my God, that's just ghetto, that's ratchet. Jesus, why are we coming out in public like that? The challenge was, I looked back, her mother had the same thing on. And that's when I realized, you holding her to a standard she don't even got no point of reference to even have. And that's crazy. But yes, I created that in my mind. Was it fair? Was it right? I'm gonna be honest, no, it wasn't. But how many times are we unfair to people? We be wholeheartedly having whole silent arguments with people. They don't know nothing about it. And we be irritated with them. They say the littlest thing to us. Now you mad. I wish they shut up talking to me. And they like, hey, come on, let's go out to dinner. And you, yeah, okay. What? You got a measuring stick in your head. Ain't said nothing to them. They like, they good. And you all mad. You frustrated. Who got the problem, them or you? It's you. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to create boundaries, to create healthy habits, to create how people are going to love us because you matter. You have to know you matter. You can't expect people to know you matter. You have to not be the jump in the front, I matter, I matter. No, your actions, your words, the way you move, the way you interact with people will show you matter. I often ask people, who in here loves themselves? I love to see that. So my question is, how do you love yourself?
When you say that you love yourself, I can guarantee that everybody in here would say yes, but I can guarantee it's not the truth. What you do is you try this for a week. Go in the mirror in the bathroom and say, I love me. Do it again every day.
It's okay.
You're not gonna feel the same way.
Yes.
Because you're actually feeding your mind things that really, because then when you ask yourself, why do I love me? Because that's what you ask yourself in a second.
Yeah.
You not, I promise you. Do it, and then it will help you actually cope with things that actually bother you that you don't speak about. Do it.
You matter. That's right, sis, you matter. What she's saying is absolutely true. That's why I asked the question. Think about, if we love ourselves, why do we allow people to take advantage of us? If we love ourselves, why are we giving ourselves up to people who don't even deserve us? And I'm guilty. Who do we give our all to like they deserve it? I got a question for everybody in here, men and women. You know when you first meet that person, right? That new person and you interested in them, right? Everything they say they looking for, you checking the box. Why do we feel the need to check the box? If they say, oh, this person didn't cook for me. Can you cook for me? I'm not even asking you can they cook. They plant a seed. Oh, they didn't cook for me, so what does that tell your man to do? Right? If they say, oh, this person didn't listen to me enough, what you gonna do? I'm all ears. Let me listen. Let me hear you. Yes, I got you. They call you at 3 in the morning. You Johnny on the spot. You got to be at work at 5. What's wrong with you? So why we checking all this? What they did to earn it? But we love ourselves. But if you really love yourself, why are you trying to check their boxes? What they did to give you something to even check the box with. Think about that. Love is creating boundaries. You may feel guilty because you wanted to do something and something happened. Feel the guilt, still say no. Period. Because sometimes it's that simple. Because actually, we overcompensate and do a lot of things for people that they could do for themselves. I don't believe in enabling. Like I said, my grandma 86, she texts, and she just learned how to text probably about maybe when she was 78. I got her a cell phone. Because grandma, if you want to communicate and I'm at work, that's what you're going to need to learn how to do. And guess what? That 86-year-old woman did it. And she may have all her words jumbled up, but she do it. So I taught her, because she matters and I matter. We're both valuable. We can't tear each other and wear each other out. We have to balance each other. Your sister, your mother, your daughter, your friends, whoever. We have to learn to balance because we matter. You touched on a subject about mothers. 2 people actually did. A lot of our trauma, which is our root, right? Our root comes from our parents. And it's not saying they're a bad parent. And we love to, when we get older, sometimes villainize them a little too much. And I get it because they didn't give us what we needed. But a question, when does the chapter become yours to write? Any response to that? When does the chapter become yours to write? Because this, your life, whatever age you are right now, if you're 26, if you're 56, when you taking over your book? Now, you can sit in your rooted problems, and don't get me wrong, some rooted things ain't going nowhere. That's just the truth. But we have to be aware of them to make a difference. Some things like, you know what, if you're a guarded person, I'm a guarded person. It ain't going nowhere, but I'm buffering it. I'm aware that I am guarded, and I don't let many people in. So for me, what I do to buffer that a little bit is I sit and try to be present and be mindful and watch a person and not hold them against every transgression. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm critical, so that's a little hard at times. Even though my friends mostly will say I'm the voice of conscience. They call and I'm usually the one like, oh, I don't think that's right. But in my home, man, I got a whole nother measuring stick. But that's something you gotta work on. Forgiveness is the hardest thing. Why do people think forgiveness is the hardest thing? Any takers? Nobody? 1, 2, 3? Go on. Yep, that's the truth. It's like if I forgive this person, they gonna think it's okay to do it again. You said it right, weakness. Forgiveness in most people's mind mean vulnerable, or they think I'm a sucker, or they think that they, can run me or whatever. But actually it's forgiveness for yourself first. Because why did we even allow that in our space? If you think about it. So sometimes we have to learn, not sometimes, all the time, we first have to learn to forgive ourselves. I've had some relationships out this world, right? And I had to learn, like, Lord, what was I drinking or smoking? Why did I even? And instead of trying to be angry with them and figure out why they didn't do this or should have did this, and what I had to learn is, Tamika, why did you? How do you forgive you? Because I matter, not them, me. So forgiveness, they always say in the spiritual world, forgiveness is for yourself and all that. But the truth is, forgiveness is so you can have an open heart and an open mind to everything that's around you. Not so somebody else can come in and hurt you, but to be open enough where you can receive things that are really for you. Yeah, but I do got to say for that one I struggle with. I say God's grace is sufficient, mine ain't. I may give you some, but mine ain't sufficient. I'm going to just be honest. You got to sometimes know your boundaries with people. If a person cuts you, guess what? I ain't going back a second time, but I ain't got to be mad at you either.
But sometimes you allow the person to be what you were giving a person for, what you allow them to do.
At the end of the day, that's true. That's true. Some things, not all, but some things, yes. Because if somebody was raped, molested, abused, they didn't allow that. They didn't know, necessarily that. But you don't realize if you don't forgive that person, what you first have to forgive yourself for is holding on to it, allowing it to write the rest of your chapters. Because my daddy didn't do this or my mama did this. Now I'm 26 and they still writing my chapter. Why they still writing your story? Is this your book now? At some point in your life, you have to take ownership of you because you matter. Who do you matter to? Yourself. But do we really believe that? Do we really believe that? How many people really believe? They can say it. We quote it real good. We got all kind of quotes. This America is full of quotes. How many people really believe they matter? How do you teach us? How do you show you matter? Question. Answers. Okay, tell me how you put you first.
Self-care.
Okay.
I have been exercising 3 times a week for the last 2 years. My kids are grown, and you know what? I treat them as if they're grown. I take a seat back, and I allow them to come to me when they need something or if they need advice. I stop trying to be everything to everybody.
Amen. That's right. Amen. We all evolving here. I don't believe in the word change because change is to indicate that you're wrong. I believe we are who we are. We have to evolve to where we're going. So guess what? If I was a rebellious kid, I'm still a rebellious kid because that's my past. I can't change that. I don't have to live in it. I'm evolving from it. I'm not changing because guess what? That's still a little piece of that in me. Let's just be real. If you come to me the wrong way or something happen, I don't know, I might jump out the box. I'm a therapist, but that don't mean I get to be calm all the time. Anybody else?
Is establishing my why and then establishing my buy into that why. And for me, it's because it really does embody. We talk about being selfless, and I don't want to necessarily use the word selfish, but really thinking about self. So when I think about what I want to do or why I want to do something, why am I doing it? And then what's my buy-in? And that for me is a form of the self-care.
Amen, yes, that's the truth. A lot of us struggle with purpose. When you don't feel fulfilled, you start doing all kind of stuff to fulfill you. And really, you got to step back. And sometimes you got to figure out, like, what is my purpose? What do I like to do? Brainstorm with yourself. Stop trying to bring everybody in. One thing I have learned, I am grateful for my support system. It's very strategically, I can't say the word, sorry, that everybody that's in my path is supposed to be there. But I also don't depend. It's not a codependency I have. My friend, I used to call her all the time when I was trying to navigate something. And I realized some stuff you need to stop. You sitting there working yourself up. And my friend, I love her dearly, Sherry, she'll never complain about it. But I realized some of the stuff, girl, what is wrong with you? Get your man together. Some of the stuff you need to figure out yourself. And some of the stuff ain't even a problem. In my man, it was. It's when I'm sitting on the side of the chair, and the other person's on the couch, it's like, Tamika the expert. No, I'm not the expert, I'm the GPS. I can help you go through, the chaos, because most often we are better with other people than we are ourselves. And I always tell people, I'm no better. I have my struggles. Just because I can help GPS everybody else through their stuff, I got a therapist who do the same for me. I have my support system who works with me, because we all need, and this is why therapy is so important. And I'm not trying to push therapy to anybody, but the reason I say it's important because it's a safe space to talk about that friend who putting this on you, talk about that husband who doing something, talk about the wife, talk about the cousin, whoever, the coworker, whoever putting stuff on you. It's a safe space to teach you that it's okay to feel what you feel, but you have to work through it in order for you to be a better you, for you, because you matter. That was a lot of yous, I know. But my point is, if you don't teach you matter, who else is going to teach them? And that means your kids, everybody. I know when people get older and their kids are like grown, there's this mental health thing we call empty nester syndrome. And people like trying to figure out what to do with their life. Or they feel alone because they spent their whole life doing stuff for other people. But guess what? Now it's time for you to figure out you. Don't go looking at the past, regretting anything you did. You served your purpose in your lane. Now it's time to create another purpose. We all have more than one purpose. Understand that. We have different seasons for different purposes. So in this purpose, yes, maybe it was to serve your family. But in this season, maybe it's not. They grown, they gone. Now it's time for you, your next purpose. We don't have just one indefinite purpose. That's not how we work. We are creatures of multiple layers. So we have to start with first, creating boundaries with our circle, our immediate circle. Not letting everybody throw their stuff on us, right? Secondly, we have to learn how to start working through some root stuff we got. We be mad at somebody else. You mad at a past relationship or a friendship. Oh, that's why I ain't got female friends. Oh, I was guilty of that. I always used to say, I was raised with men. I ain't got no female friends. Lord and behold, I got a support system full of females, and I'm thankful for them. Because what I had to learn was be open to the support, that guardedness. That's what I was talking about, because I was guarded. And I grew up with men, so I felt safe. But in reality, I had to get out of that. That's not the only thing in the world. I had to do some work on me to recognize if you open, you don't know what else can come in. But if you holding on to root problems, you're going to stay stagnant. And I don't know anybody who intentionally wakes up to be stagnant. But guess what? Mentally, you do. Mentally, you your own trap. Because somewhere you have conditioned yourself, you don't matter. Even though we say, I love myself, and just because you go get your hair done, your nails done, your hair cut, looking good, smelling good. I know a lot of people who do all the above and it's messed up in the head. They look real good. I counsel people for a living who look like, I was going to say Beverly Hills Billies, forgive me, who look like the Obamas. Got plenty of money, but messed up in the head. That's why therapy is so important. And not just therapy, but to teach yourself you matter. We marry or we get into entanglements or situations and connect to different things because we ain't dealt with our roots. Usually we attract our voids. So if you ever, and this is just a self-reflection, even amongst your friends, your significant others, look at what you attract and see what they all got in common. And it's just something for you guys to test for yourself.
Do you believe that?
Yes, wholeheartedly.
You are what you attract.
Yes, there's a void. It's not you are, it's a void. So kind of something similar to what you said. If I didn't get validation from my mom, more than likely I'm going to attract somebody who can validate me or either who I see that same thing and I want to cater it because it's a need I didn't get, so I feel I can fix it. And that's scary because we're not even aware of what we attract. Sometimes, and I often have clients go and look at the common denominators of things. Even though, yes, you are the common denominator, that's the obvious. But what is it common in the people, your friends, your people you attract, even your careers? What is it that you attracted? And why you attracted to it? Sometimes we can be attracted to charmers. I'm going to say that. Why? Because they stroke our ego. That's why. And maybe we didn't realize how much we really needed our ego stroked. But the problem is that charmer also got about 5 other people they charming. But because you're so focused on filling your void, you ain't even paying no attention. You struggling like, well, why they don't do this for me? Because you trying to fix a void and they trying to fix one too. 2 broken people trying to fix something. And don't get me wrong, we're all broken in some kind of way, but we repurpose ourselves. Yep, when we were younger, somebody broke us. Whether it was they were hard on us or whatever. You can grow up in the same household with siblings, and they all gonna have a different viewpoint of how they grew up. It's like a car accident. You're gonna see a car, 10 people with you, 10 different versions. All of us have, and the funny thing about me that I constantly hear, people create these perfect childhoods, and not to say that it's so bad, but we tend to think trauma is something very significant. It don't have to be significant. We rationalize things as adults, but we forget we had a kid mind when it happened. It could be something as simple as you in the pool and your father says, you go to your dad and says, Dad, teach me how to swim. And he said, oh, I don't got time right now, baby. And you said, okay, and you go play. And you turn around, he helping your friend swim. It could be something that simple. It don't have to be this big traumatic thing. Oh, we always think, oh, you got to be molested or you got to be this. For it to be something traumatic, it does not have to be. It could be something as simple as your sister locked you in the bedroom and closed the lights, turned everything off and scared the hell out of you. And that traumatized you in that moment. It's kind of like we have to stop minimizing things that happen to us and acknowledge them to say we matter. Acknowledge those things. Don't mean you got to sit in them. Acknowledge them. Because that's a part of showing yourself you matter. So you can teach people as this adult version, don't cross this boundary, don't cross this line. How many people in here got consequences if you cross a line? What's your consequences if y'all don't mind sharing?
I have some of those same consequences, but don't nobody know it but me. Right? You don't know that that's the consequences for crossing that line. Because when I cut you off, you just off. You're not calling me to ask me why. You better not call me because you blocked. I don't even know you called me. So oftentimes, and my kids who are adults, I got this look. And it says Negro, please. You better not. You know, but them being adults, I have in my mind that I'm gonna deal with this like that. They don't know I'm dealing with it like that because kudos to you. Because I'm in a space where I'm trying to figure out what about me? Miss Hill knows. What do I do with the rest of my life? My kids are adults and God is like, shut up. Man, go get a life. But no consequences. Nobody knows what they are but me. And often people are dealing with the consequences. You just don't know it. Some people know when if I'm done talking, I'm done talking. I'm done. Say what the heck you want to say. I don't even see you anymore. You figure it out though. Eventually, if you're in a room with me, if we ain't got that kind of relationship, you never know.
Ironically, the Virgos and the Scorpios in the room. The two Virgos, the Scorpios. That's well, actually Cancers too. I'm not a zodiac, but just Cancers will cut you off too. We'll be like, snippet. But unfortunately, we never communicated. Yes, Virgos are definitely. Yes, they very much like that.
So for me, it's a little different because my circle is small, and it take a lot for me to kind of trust. And when you get into my circle, I feel like you're there. So I have that conversation with my people that I'm around that's close to me. They already understand that if you cross me, we're gonna have a problem. So everyone that knows me that's around, we have a problem if you cross me. So when it happens, I don't have to have a conversation about it because they already understand.
That's true.
You know, so I just.
That's a good way.
That's
She
for me.
created her expectations before you enter.
That's right. So you
That's
have
how
to
it
understand me. Let's get clear. When you first meet me, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to watch you for a while. And check you out before I call you my friend.
Oh, I know.
You know,
I went through the whole test.
It take a lot. It take a lot for me to call you my friend. You know,
Yes.
so it's just, that's for me.
That's actually a healthy way. Yes, but it's healthy. It's a healthy coping mechanism that we need to start communicating our expectations with people. We just be picking up people like they are newborn babies. Who the hell told you to pick them up? Go put them back down. And let me say this, just because you blood don't mean I gotta pick you up either. Blood makes you related, don't make you family. We get that so confused. Everything, I often ask people, if that wasn't your family member, would that be your friend? 9 times out of 10, no. So why do we teach this? We family, we gotta stick together. So if they over there selling drugs, I'm supposed to be over there with them because they my family? Last time I checked, I ain't going to jail for nobody. Not even my grandma, and I love her. So you gotta ask yourself, why do we think these things? Why do we not communicate before we get into these entanglements, these friendships, these courtships, whatever you want, these jobs? So a job tell you their expectations, right? But do you tell the job yours? How many people go into an interview and listen and take everything that the people say to you and be like, okay, and they never counteract with the money? How many people, whether you were younger, older, how many people have did that in the room because you didn't know your value at the time? Guess what? Most of the time, we don't know our value. Even in jobs, we go in there, say when you're young, at this age, 20, in your 20s. So I think a good thing they might tell a 20-year-old, oh, he got $15 an hour. We don't teach that 20-year-old something, well, you got a bunch of experience. You can ask for 17. We don't teach that. Oh, go get a job. No. Teach how to counteract and communicate, negotiate. Everything is negotiable, even though people don't think it is. It really is, because guess what? If you want me, you better negotiate and compromise with me if you want me. If you don't want me, by all means, don't negotiate. That means family, friends, job, I don't care who it is. Because it's a give and take, as she said. I tell you my expectations, you can say yes or no. The vaccine, I'm just using this as an example, is a touchy subject for a lot of people. So CPS is requiring the employees to have it. And a lot of employees are mad about it. But I remember somebody else said, and I was in total agreement because I said it to somebody else. If you don't want it, quit the job. You sitting there having a whole argument like they finna change for you. You matter to you, not to nobody else. And I'm just being honest. A job supposed to change everything for you? Come on now. Now, don't get me wrong. Forget all the politics. I'm just using that as an example before somebody come out being sensitive about it. So, you have to communicate your expectations. And if it don't fit your table, don't eat from it. Why do we eat garbage that somebody else left over? You wouldn't do it in the natural. Why do you do it in the physical? And I said that the wrong way, but you get it. Think about when people lay down or vomit all the things that they feel or say, and you take them back up. Would you ever eat somebody's vomit? I don't know nobody that would, that is not mentally ill severely. Why do we do that with words, boundaries? That's exactly what you're doing. You eating somebody else's garbage because you don't have no boundaries. Or because you don't love you, because you have taught yourself in so many ways you don't matter. But everybody in here, you matter. But you got to know you matter. If you don't know, don't nobody else know. So when your sister come to you and they talking about the same thing and you over it, you don't have to sit there and listen to your sister because she your sister. You know what, sis? I understand that that's what you're going through, and I respect that, but I can't keep allowing that energy. And I want to support you, but I'm just not the person that you need to talk to. Put that there. There is nothing wrong with saying that. How many people feel guilty in saying that to their siblings or coworker? Well, not your coworker, you probably don't care about them, but your friends. With your siblings. Guess what? Siblings need boundaries too. Even parents. Parents need some boundaries too. They share too much with their kids. Yes, you can't. You got to go put that somewhere else. Go talk to somebody who's neutral, who can challenge you to look back and say, you know what, why am I dealing with this? Why am I doing all these things? Because we get mad when people challenge us back. And by me being a therapist, I'm very comfortable with people like combating with me or whatever. But I always tell people, I ain't got no power struggle with you, it's you. Because you're the expert, so I ain't got no power over it. I give you different perceptions and challenge you to look at it different ways, but I ain't trying to convince you. As he said earlier about something about a buy-in and your why, that's something very huge to me. So what is your buy-in as we leave here today to say you matter? And what's your why? Oftentimes they can be different. So why do you matter? What's your buy-in to start making that happen for you? As we leave here today, everybody gave me their stuff, hopefully. I was going to tell y'all throw it in the garbage on the way out, but it's on the floor. I want you guys to leave whatever you wrote down. And it's not saying that it's going to go away just because you wrote it on a piece of paper. I ain't that holy. I believe in practical skills. You wrote this down for a reason because it needs to be dealt with. So how can we walk out the room with some real skills to go deal with this, to evolve from it, to say, I matter. I don't want this to be in my chapter no more. So if you're on chapter 53, 43, 56, how can you go to your next chapter? You need to leave some stuff. It's a period there. It's another story to write. So how can we do that? Any takers? A moment of silence we giving? Acknowledge it. That's number one. You can acknowledge it, which is first. It's like an alcoholic saying, yep, I'm an alcoholic. But then, two, what you going to do about it? Right. Because most alcoholics will say they're alcoholics all day long, but they ain't going to stop drinking. That's the truth. They will acknowledge that they're alcoholics. But we got to move to the next level from acknowledgement. Consistency. First, before you even consistency, let's go to processing. Acknowledge process. Process how it affects you first. How does this show up in my life? So if unforgiveness or you got a problem being quiet, because we always need, sometimes we have this combative thing in us. If I don't say nothing, then they're going to think they got away with something. Why do we got to be the loudest person in the room? Just because you're the loudest person in the room don't mean nobody heard you. They ignoring you, if anything. Approach is everything when you're trying to process, especially with other people. If you try to villainize a person, you will never get anywhere. You can never go to a person saying, you did this and it made me feel like this and da-da-da-da-da. Guess what? What that's going to do? If I said that to y'all in this room today, what would y'all say? Exactly. So if you want to approach somebody, if somebody has done something to you in these notes, or even if you want to start creating boundaries, having a real self-reflective conversation first, what's your why? What's your buy-in? How can I communicate this without blaming? And then how can I stay consistent because I matter? And if you don't believe you matter, stop expecting other people to think you matter. Please. It's a waste of your time to be crying and arguing with people. Because as much as you cry, as much as you curse them out, much as you fight, if it ain't changed, it ain't about to. You have to learn other ways to teach people you matter and how you treat them, how you allow them to treat you. And not because you argue back with them. If you don't like service in the restaurant, what you supposed to do? Leave and don't come back. That's right. So guess what? That's right. And if somebody treats you some way you don't like, bye-bye. We're going to first have a conversation, as you said, communicate. But if you still come back with the same behavior, that means I'm irrelevant. So guess what? I quit. You have something to say? Yes. Stop having the same conversations with people. Promise yourself today, this is the last conversation I'm having. Because you matter. Why do you got to keep repeating it? We ain't in school. We ain't learning no ABCs like we in kindergarten. You ain't got to keep repeating the same thing to people. If they ain't got it, they don't want to get it. They heard you. Because people do what they want to do. But they only do what they want to do when you allow them to do it. The B word is my trigger, to be honest, and more from females, to be honest, because I feel like it's, and I get that people use it in their, knowledge and all that stuff, and it's okay. It's okay. But me and Tim been friends for 14 years. She know that's my trigger word. It's like she recognizes that, and she's never called me that because I matter to her. But I also taught her I matter. She's taught me things that teaches me she matters. Desiree, she's taught me some things. I matter, so don't do this. Vice versa. We have to believe that people care enough about us to respect us, and if they don't allow yourself to, you disrespecting yourself, it ain't them. We want to blame people. Oh, y'all disrespecting me, you ain't doing this. How somebody disrespecting you? You the one sitting at the table. Get up. Move around. You don't got to be in the same space. So nobody disrespecting you. You disrespecting yourself. My other one is, you going to respect me. What you going to do, beat me? You can't make nobody respect you. End of discussion. And I know people, oh, you going to, no, they don't. Because if they call you out your name, that's disrespectful to you. So how you going to make them respect you? What you going to do? Any takers? Because how many people often say that, you going to respect me? And how many people taught their kids that?
Do you believe in respect your elders?
I respect Tamika. So to be honest, my respect for me cultivates in how I respect others. So some things people may feel I do is disrespectful, but it's respectful to me. But if they communicate that it makes them feel some type of way and I care enough about them to be honest, I'll do something different. If I don't, I won't. So if a person, and we can use elders, so if a person, because sometimes elders do have certain theories that they want us to respect that don't necessarily apply in today's world, and vice versa. We want them to accept some things that don't apply in their world. We have to learn how to come to a happy medium. But if a person, you feel like there's just no negotiating nor communicating with this person, why are you still sitting at the table? When you argue back with a person, you just devalued you. They didn't do nothing to you because you ain't have to respond. It's not about respecting your elders or anybody. It's about how much do you respect you. So we live in this world of technology, right? What's the first thing people do when people are arguing? Let me record you, right? So you don't act a fool for, what is it called, world hip style? World style. For what? You just gave a free show. You getting all these hits on world style and you ain't got $1. And you still disrespected. And guess what? Now you disrespected yourself on top of being disrespected. So now you double mad, but who cares? No, nothing but world star who's sharing your video. So it's important for you to respect you. It's not respecting this person or that person, but what does it take to respect yourself? To me, that's number one, because nobody should ever be able to take you out of who you are. Just because, as I said, you arguing back with this person, you cannot argue me out of my way. If I believe this, if I right now told y'all it's black in here, what would y'all tell me? No. You wouldn't believe nothing I said. And that, would there be anything I could do to convince you differently? Not a thing. So why do we happen to believe that arguing with somebody is going to convince them of our way? I use this word called verbal submission.
I was just about to say somebody taught me that word.
Yes. Verbal submission. Add this to your vocabulary. You cannot convince somebody to believe your why. If I don't understand it, I don't need to. No, ma'am. Why are you applying pressure to something that Right. But guess what? You talking to me 10 minutes, an hour, ain't going to make me understand why. I have to be okay with it. Just because you're trying to explain it don't mean I'm going to get it. I don't need to understand you. No, ma'am. So the reason I came up, so when you think about a car salesman, what do you think about? They're trying to convince you to buy something you don't want, right? They're putting you into verbal submission. They're going to make you see why you need to buy this car.
At this price.
That's verbal submission. If you're spending more time explaining why somebody needs to understand your point of view, you're putting them into verbal submission. They are no longer listening. People are not going to understand your feelings because they're your feelings. What affects you don't affect me. How you personalize that don't make me personalize that. It don't matter. It's good. That's you, that's me. We can respectfully come to a medium. I agree to disagree is a powerful word. We don't know how to just be like, you know what? I don't understand it, but that's okay. And people don't know how to accept that you don't understand. But you got to think, how many people was raised with the same values and morals and entities of growing up with family, different dynamics? How many people here could say they was raised the same way? Nobody. Even if you in the same house, sibling. I got two sisters, two different point of views, correct? Y'all two different people, but y'all came from the same parents, same household, two-parent household, very different people. Two sisters right here too. Two different point of views. Is there anything wrong with that? There are some things you process completely different. And I gotta learn to respect that that's how you process and step back and stop trying to convince you my way is the right way. Why is your way the right way? And we love to say, I ain't trying to be right. Well, then why the hell are you still talking? I'm confused. Because you're trying to be right. So, all that to say, wrap it back all around. Learning to put you first because you matter. Learning to create boundaries. Your words are powerful. We always hear the word, yes is powerful, right? But no is the most powerful word you could ever use for yourself. The reason why no is powerful, because no means you can't cross this line. No, I'm not accepting your garbage. No, I don't want to hear that. No, I don't want your energy. Learn to use the word no properly. That's to protect yourself. It's not a bad word. But we feel guilty when we say no, ironically. But yes is an open door. Who in here an open door? Who in here a doormat? Because that's what yes is. The yes man. Why Why do we need to prove points? Again, boundaries. It's about loving yourself. If you matter, you don't have to respond to everything. Again, because you the loudest, don't make me hear you. Anytime you have to go back and forth with somebody, you're trying to gain power. You cannot gain power over another person, ever. You can talk all you want, and maybe they'll give in, but they only going to give in to a certain amount, and then they're going to flip right back because they only did it for the reason you wanted in that moment. So be careful about that. So, as we leave here today, I really hope everybody, whatever you wrote down, if you want a coping skill to try to work through that, raise your hand, talk through it so we can get some coping skills. But the things that I want you to take away from this is you matter. So it starts with loving you first, selfishly loving you first. You cannot be selfless till you are selfish. And even in your selflessness, because, oh, I love you, or I want to do this and do this, it's still selfish because you're getting something from it. Until you wholeheartedly know who you are, and we're forever evolving. So let me get this embedded in everybody's head. Who you were yesterday is not who you are today. Amen. Who you are today is not who you are tomorrow. You should always be evolving. But the only thing is, don't evolve with other people's stuff. Leave that luggage where it's at. Value yourself enough from this day forward to use no. Feel the guilt and say no anyway. And for the people who do have a problem saying no, one of the big coping skills I give people is, if you got to be one of them immediate responders, create that instant text message that say, give me a minute, I'll get back to you. Send. You have to take 30 minutes before you say yes to anything, because you need to figure out, why am I saying yes and what does this take away from me? I don't care if I'm getting off work and my husband says, Tamika, stop at McDonald's. It's 5 minutes for me that's going to delay me from doing what I'm doing. I ain't doing it. Selfish, whatever. Inconsiderate, whatever. It don't matter, because I have something I need to do. So I can't do this for you right now. It's okay. We don't always have to be inconvenienced. I'm not saying completely all be like that, but I said don't always be the doormat for the open door. Be a balance in the middle. Pick your yeses wisely. Every time you say yes to somebody, you say no to you. So use them wisely. No should be your number one word, even though everybody taught us yes. But yes is an open door. Only God needs to open doors. We don't, because we don't know who we opening them for. Some stuff gonna stay with you, baby, because it happened. Ain't no erasing it. And that's okay. It's a part of your life, but that ain't the chapter you gotta live in it. We all gotta turn the page eventually, and it's up to you to turn the page. You can still read the same story, tell the same story, but eventually, if you wanna be uncomfortable and evolve, you gotta turn the page and get uncomfortable. The truth hurts. This is how you know it's truthful, because it's uncomfortable. Don't nobody want to hear something. We reject when somebody telling us the truth. It's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. And they come up with all the checklists of why that ain't true. Well, you got to debate it if it ain't true. If it's a lie, what you debating? You let them sit with the lie and go on about their business. But the truth, we got a whole checklist. It ain't this because of this, it ain't that because of that. That means you're sitting there debating with yourself why that's not true about you. So sometimes the hard, ugly truth is to sit with yourself. Figure out yourself. Stop waiting for others to figure you out. Any more takers? Well, I thank you all for coming. I hope you got something from this. And again, I'm Step by Step, the spot for your mind, located in Evergreen Park, Park Forest, and we do Zoom. I don't, because as you see, I need to feel the people. But I do have other therapists who do. Thank you. And Jeremy has some extra stuff back there.